So, as you can see here, the temple is almost completely covered by a giant cave. I didn't think it was going to be this massive, but so far I really do like it, but not everyone agrees. Some people say that it's a little bit too out of place for the game. But anyway, in the recent jungle map update, the main focus is still around the theme of the map, making sure each point of interest has a nice backstory and whatnot, just like in the last update where DICE published the backstories behind each point of interest. And this time around, to help improve upon this aspect, the temple has been pushed back into the cliffside and it's been surrounded in a giant cave. I was pretty eager to playtest this update when I read the patch notes, as if you guys watched my last video, I talked about how the temple was kind of in a bad spot because the enemy team could easily just camp on the side of the mountain and had a really good vantage point looking down upon the temple. And yes, I do know DICE LA don't want to hear feedback like this. Well, not at the moment, but I do like to talk about it anyway. But with the cave added, how does it change the playstyle for this capture point? Does it make the backstory more interesting? Does it affect gameplay in a negative or positive way? First of all, having a cave surrounding the temple almost completely eliminates the problem of being shot from the mountainside on the left. And if you guys watched my last video, there was a fairly major problem with players camping on the top of the temple, seeing as it was out in the open. Unfortunately, people were sacrificing the transport heli just to get into a nice camping spot on top of one of the levels. Of course, with the cave in place, that can't happen anymore, so that's really good. And on top of that, it being surrounded by a giant cave gives this point of interest more of a thematic feel to it, which, like I said, seems like DICE LA wants to get this right before moving on to anything else. As for other jungle map updates, I'm pretty sure this was just added. I've never noticed it before, but some vegetation has been placed around the ground, which is really good to see. Hopefully once the map is all completed and has textures, this will help to build the jungle atmosphere. The medical facility has been altered. We used to have 3 pretty big buildings here, but the left and right side ones have been replaced with these kind of smaller houses, maybe for storage reasons of some kind. And I don't know if this has always been here, but I could have sworn previously craters from explosives didn't appear under the concrete fence line. But as you can see, you can easily just sneak your way under the fence, which really helps out a lot to be sneaky. Most of the time the enemy team waits for players to enter the main gates, so being able to just simply go under the fence helps out a lot. Also, we have an update to the suppression mechanic in the game. I'm not too sure why DICE LA needed to add this, but there's a new kind of grey smoke effect added that will appear on your screen once you're being suppressed, as you can see here. Only reason why I can think why this was added to visually tell the players you're being suppressed, obviously, and it seems like it only fully kicks in once you're receiving the maximum amount of units of suppression, which I've yet to properly make a video of. And I do know some people have requested I make a video regarding the updated suppression mechanic from about a month ago, but to be honest, I've been putting it off, thinking it might be changed at a later date, because if you didn't know, the new suppression mechanic outside of the effective range of your weapon will actually start to add spread and recoil and things like that to your weapon, which I honestly thought, seeing as it caused such a huge backlash from the CTA playbase, that effect would have been removed. Unfortunately it hasn't, so with the spring patch coming up very soon with this new suppression system, I believe maybe next week, once it's released, I'll make sure to dedicate a video going over the completely new suppression mechanic. But overall though, for the jungle map, like I said in my last CMP video, I still think the temple and ghost town needs to be integrated together. Like I suggested, adding some kind of underground tunnel connecting these 2 points would be a great idea and also makes sense for the backstory. Also, I would like to see some more detail with the login station to properly capture the theme. Maybe add some leftover leaves and wood chippings from cutting down parts of the forest. I know DICE LA are probably leaving all these extra details for last, but I do think this capture point is a little bit too basic. As for the plantation, I think this area needs to be extended out more. At the moment it's a bit too small. I don't think plantations in real life would be this kind of small size. I know the map doesn't necessarily need to represent real life 100%, but I don't think it would hurt to expand its radius just a little bit. Also, moving away from the jungle map, I want to talk about the 120Hz tick rate servers. In my last video, I just focused on the 60Hz tick rate server because at the time, I couldn't actually properly playtest 120Hz ones because they were all in the EU region and my ping was just way too damn high. Luckily though, today I had a good chance to actually play on the 120Hz servers for a good 2 hours or so, and it felt amazing. It's become so hard to even go back to any normal servers, especially on the retail BF4 client, and it kind of saddens me to think we'll never get to experience these high tick rates on the retail client. Like I said in my last video, these high tick rate servers do require more server power, and even on the player's end it uses more CPU. Which you probably notice I added the CPU usage on the top left. The reason is, like I said, CPU usage is higher on the player end when on these higher tick rate servers. It's noticeably higher on the 60Hz servers and even more so on the 120Hz ones. Most of the time CPU usage across all the threads was around 70 to 80%, and PC is really the only platform that can handle the loads, so that in itself is the main reason why we'll never see the 60 or 120Hz tick rate servers in retail BF4. But hopefully we'll get to experience it in the next major Battlefield game, because such a huge advancement for the franchise needs to be a feature as soon as possible. So as for the spring patch, I mentioned before how it's coming very soon. There's no confirmation, but a lot of people seem to suggest it's coming next week. I know this was said many times early in the month that the patch will arrive late May, and this month is pretty much almost over, so I assume it's Tuesday will be the day. If not, we probably will see the patch early next month. Luckily, we do know a lot about what's going into the spring patch, including the weapon crate or weapon pack, whatever you want to call it. We have the weapon rebalancing, which I've overviewed in my previous CTA videos. Just check out my CTA playlist and you should find all the videos there. We also have the Gunmaster game mode, which is completely new to Battlefield 4. I'm really looking forward to this one. I've had a blast playing Gunmaster on CTA, and I just hope this game mode will actually be used. But anyway guys, that's it for today's video. If you have any more ideas for the jungle map, make sure to leave it on the CTA Reddit page, especially if it's got anything to do with the theme or backstories of each point of interest. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.